Recording. Hello, 905 Art Chatters. This is Jacqueline. I'm the gallery assistant at the AGM, and I'm here with Julie Andreyev. She's our artist for the next show, which is called Passages. Hi, Julie.
Hi,
How are you this morning?
I'm good, thanks.
Cool. Well, thank you for agreeing to talk to us. And just a little background for you 905 Art Chatters. Her show, Passages, is composed of two pieces of work, which are Four-Wheel Drift and Animal Lover. And that's basically what we'll be talking to her about this morning. So, Julie, just to let our viewers know, where did you come up with the name of Passages, and how does this name connect with Animal Lover and Four-Wheel Drift?
Yeah, passages, I chose the word because it stood for a couple of things that were meaningful at the moment for me. One of them is that passages stands for, the journey from when you travel from one place to another. And travel certainly is a big component in the content of the artwork that's being shown in the gallery. Also, passages means a musical excerpt, and music and sound plays a big component in the show works as well. Also, it's kind of a personal meaning because the show kind of represents for me a turning point in a way. It's has one work, Four-Wheel Drift Remix, which is from an older body of work. And then I also am showing quite a few of my new body of work projects from Animal Lover. So it's kind of a transition also from one body of work to the other.
Oh, cool. Okay, and both bodies of work are somewhat connected then in this whole idea of transitions, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk about each body of work then individually. And I'd like to start with Four-Wheel Drift, which you said was your older body of work. And I heard that it was inspired by this Parisian movement, Situationist International. And I was wondering if you could tell us a bit more about that movement and what in particular about it inspired you.
Yeah, the body of work called Four-Wheel Drift has a number of components within it. And those components being projects. One of the projects is being shown at AGM, and that's called Four-Wheel Drift Remix. But the big body of work is definitely influenced by the Situationists, and in fact, my sort of approach to art making is informed by their work. They were a European, a French avant-garde movement from the 60s that was interesting for a few reasons. They were proposing a kind of break from the idiosyncratic, subjective abstract art movement, exemplified by artists such as the abstract expressionists. And the Situationists were proposing a kind of participatory engagement as a means to change behavior within the urban landscape. So one of their tactics, called the dérive, which translates roughly as drift, was an invitation to the public to involve the viewer in a new role. And they call it the viewer, in fact, being the viveur, the one who lives. So they're kind of setting up situations, as they called them, for people to participate in different enactments rather than to be passive viewers. Also, for the dérive, it really was a tactic to develop ways to break habits of movement through the city. So Four-Wheel Drift of my project refers to the derived through the idea of drift, a kind of letting go of expectation or habit in order to see the city in a new way. Four-Wheel Drift Remix sort of metaphorically plays with drift as a kind of tactical loss of control. And it involves local participants in the city, in this case in Mississauga, who determine the route that we drive through the city, and this route is unknown to the artist team, and we rely on chance occurrences to occur when we're driving, and also improvisational methods are at work in the live remix. So there's a lot of sort of chance being woven into the project itself. The Situationists also analyzed the city through their method of creating psychogeographical maps. And Four-Wheel Drift Remix also refers to the psychogeographical map through the collage techniques that are used in the performance. So I'm able to collage different representations of different video clips of different parts of the city together in the live cinema. There's a theorist, Jack Rancière, who says from his essay, Problems and Transformations in Critical Art, he proposes collage as a means to create work that obeys a fundamental aesthetico-political logic. It mixes the strangeness of aesthetic experience with the becoming life of art and the becoming art of ordinary life. So it has the ability to reveal through combinations of images and, according to him, capitalist violence behind the happiness of consumption. So in the remix performance, the audio and video is constantly changing and creating new collaged combinations. So just like in a situation, a psychogeographical map, various areas of the city represented by sound and video can be placed in relation to each other and in real time to produce new combinations that indicate different structures of power at work in the city.
Well, one of the best things about this particular work is that each time you perform it in a different city, you come up with a completely unique performance. How do you anticipate Mississauga's four-wheel drift to be different, or to differ from the other cities you've done it in?
Yeah, this is a good point. And that's one of the key aspects of the project, is that the performance is different in each of the cities, because we rely on, obviously, the video and the audio that's gathered from those particular sites. In addition to that, the participants that come on board and help us data gather, their voices, when they're guiding us through the city, become part of the soundscape that's then mixed during the remix. So, their narrative is definitely what makes the performance unique. So it's definitely localized through these different kinds of participatory methods.
And speaking of participatory methods, I believe four-wheel drift is created by a full team. With you working with other artists as well. And we are wondering, how does this process of recording the material for performance, how does this work?
Yeah, it was developed in 2005 by myself and technical collaborator at that time, Jordan Benwick. Now I'm working with Simon Overstall, who is both my technical collaborator and my performance collaborator. So Simon is responsible for all the software as well. He's the audio performer, and I'm the video performer during the remix. So yeah, and participatory methods are obviously really important in this work, as well as in the Animal Lover works, which I'll talk about. But just as a context, the writer Claire Bishop talks about participation as a paradigm of physical involvement of the audience participants, which reduces the distance between the artist and spectators. So somewhat like the Situationists, participatory art tries to create situations that don't rely on having the audience as a separate body, but have them actually come in and create the work. So thus with Four-Wheel Drift Remix, we have two local participants that come on board. Also, the content production of the work, traditionally content usually takes place in the solo space of the artist's studio, but here we actually engage the participants directly on the road, so that the mobility and the site of the city as it becomes the artist's studio in a way. So the vehicle is really seen as a new mobile art studio as it travels through the city, and we seek out these kind of unexpected occurrences, which we video record and sound record. There's a kind of meshing of collective production meaning and the transitory aspects that help us to create the work that's otherwise unavailable to an artist working just within the city. So the project basically has two phases. There's the preparatory drive, the drift, when audio and video aspects of this are recorded, and later the remix, in which these recordings are used towards a performance between Simon and myself. So the two, during the drift, the two local participants take on the role of guide and driver, and they determine the driving route through the city. And they also narrate the urban landscape while we're recording the space using audio and video and interactive technologies. So the guide's narration, their voice, becomes part of the commentary on the sites. We also choose to have a radio or CDs playing so that there's a kind of musical ambience being recorded as well. And another microphone picks up the sound of the car engine and also the urban space, and those become another channel that we can use for the soundscape later. So a camera on the car is being used to record the video imagery of the city, and that's being fed through software that reads some sensors that we have within the car. So these sensors provide data from the car turning, accelerating and braking, and that data is being mapped on the videos as effects. So in this way, the topography of the city and the choices made by the driver are mapped onto the video. So during the remix performance, the recorded audio archive is used by Simon to create an audio soundscape, and then I take the video clips and mix and project them live into a sort of a video panorama or collage. And in the sense that the remix can be seen as a moving collage and also a panorama, it represents these various locations of the city, means of travel, and experiences within one presentation.